have an interest in that because there are those pupils who are supported by the Department of Social Development. And we know that it was very difficult for all these learners, many of which did not necessarily have the same access, but they did their best, and the percentages are 76.2. And of course, this is the national pass rate, and this makes us proud as this occurred under very difficult times as brought upon us by the global pandemic. Let us also encourage learners who and of course, as a Department of Social Development, we are much more conscious because we know that many of those children are still living under conditions where access to home learning is still very difficult, and this is why we also have to thank parents who did their best to make sure their children pay attention and are assisted. To the learners who made it through, we congratulate you all, but I must send special congratulations to the hundreds of thousands of grade 12 learners who are social grant recipients who wrote examinations last year. On the ECD Stimulus Package, and I know that this is one of the issues that is of major concern to many. As you are aware, the Department of Social Development on the 5th February 2021 launched the Early Childhood Development Employment Stimulus Relief Grant, which is supported by the Presidential Employment Stimulus Initiative and is part of the DSD's intervention to assist ECD services by cushioning them against the impact of the pandemic. The department has received 496 million to assist the sector, which is amongst the hardest hit by the pandemic. An initial indication of 1.3 billion for this was subsequently revised based on the outcomes of the assessment of the bid process through the National Treasury. It is for this reason, for instance, that today we have the sector present here, because we have to work with each other so that ultimately the ECD practitioners will have an appreciation of the challenges in particular we have, because it's not like we're the only ones that have to look at the fiscus and be supported. The entire country is looking out to government to be supportive. The department has been working with these partners to ensure successful implementation of the ECD Relief Fund. These include all provincial departments who will be making the actual payments, SASSA and the NDA, DJ Murray Trust, as I introduced him earlier on, GovChat, I also introduced, Nelson Mandela Foundation, Ilifa Labantwana, Impande SA, UNICEF, most importantly, the ECD Intersectoral Forum itself. We cannot work without them. So this is why it is important for us to work together with the sector so that we also get direction from them. Those are the people who work on it on day-to-day on the ground. I am encouraged by the strong partnership that we have built which clearly demonstrates how government and civil society can work collaboratively to achieve a common goal. We have now received 27,000 applications from ECD programs to have such an accurate information on ECD programs and the size of the workforce. Indeed, COVID-19 has brought many challenges but at the same time, this shows the opportunities that it has brought to government and the ECD sector. This data will help us moving forward with planning and strengthening of our processes and system to enable us to have informed and targeted interventions that until where are they situated, what is the condition of those ECDs. And I think this is what's going to really help us, because then now we won't even have to be running around all over the place looking for the information. It's right there in front of us. At this point, I would also like to advise on the following. All processes that have been developed to implement this ECD Relief Fund has been done in consultation with the National Intersectoral ECD Forum, as I indicated. The department created an online application platform in partnership with GovChat to enable us to process this support in an effective and speedy manner. And I know that when we started, many were saying, now look, some people are not going to be able to apply online. I will remind them that when we started with the 350, it was the same story. And most people were able, more than 9 million people were able to apply. Through the length and breadth of the country, people were able to apply. So basically what we're also saying is that we must be able to empower our own people to be able to use technology, because using that technology makes it easy for them. They don't have to be going to no office. They don't have to be queuing in no office. In other words, we are going to also find a way of empowering our people more by bringing closer to them technology so that they can be able to use it. And due to considerations have been made in terms of ensuring that ECD programs are supported through this process, and therefore with one of our partners, DG Murray Trust, we have made available the following support mechanism. A, we developed a web-based application from the 2 additional languages in English to accommodate the larger organizations that would apply on behalf of ECD services. We deployed NGOs and the Harambee Youth Support Service across all districts to offer support to ECD at dgmt.co.za, and a number of NGOs were accordingly allocated to complete the task. The Nelson Mandela Foundation, we must thank them. The Impande SA and UNICEF held multiple orientation and training sessions with sectors to empower them on how to complete applications. A number of guidelines were developed to provide further guidance in this regard. So the fifthly, the National DSD mobilized all districts and local offices across the country to assist ECD programs to apply, and all our provincial departments have worked tirelessly in this regard. We wish to thank them. We have made a solidarity call to all stakeholders and organizations working in the ECD sector to assist their constituents through this process, and we want to appreciate all those who have risen to the call and assisted others in the spirit of leaving no one behind. So for all ECD programs that have already applied, would encourage you to use your reference number in the new web format to review your application and make sure all the details are correct. And we've learned a lot of lessons actually at this point from the 350. Many a times people would not put the right information, and that creates a problem. So it is our responsibility also, and we're hoping that we can also work with the Department of Education and other departments to just empower our people, because life becomes very easy when they are able to access these services. We are planning to have payments being processed from the first week of March, which is just around the corner, and all applicants will be informed accordingly should this change. And now, with regard to the special COVID-19 social relief of distress, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced during the recent State of the Nation address the extension of COVID-19 SRD Grant for another 3 months. The application channels for the website and WhatsApp were reopened on the 13th of February. Since then, a total of 65,795 new applicants have been received. The 9.7 million that have already applied will continue to be reassessed monthly, and qualifying applicants will continue to be paid in the same way that we were doing before. About 6 million beneficiaries receive this grant on a monthly basis. The department has spent over 17 billion rands thus far on this grant, benefiting those in need of direct income. We anticipate that by the end of the extended period, we would have spent over 22 billion to support this group of beneficiaries. It is also encouraging to note that 42,329 clients have voluntarily cancelled their grants as their situation has improved, to the extent that they no longer rely on this grant. And it is important for us to thank them, because we didn't have to go around searching for them. It's only just their conscience and their appreciation and understanding that there are other people who are still in a worse situation who need the money. Payments through a bank account is still the easiest way to access your money. And I want to strongly urge everyone who is struggling with their payment to either provide SASSA with a mobile number, which is RICARD, in their name, or with the bank account. I think I do want to say here, lessons learned from here is the fact that most of our people, some of them do not even have the cell phone. So they try to use the neighbor's safe phone, the others some relative cell phone. These are some of the things that we'll have to find a way of ensuring that in future, when we have to make any form of payment, technology assists us, because at the same time we have to be accountable for the money. The reason why we ask that people use their cell phones is because the ID connected to the cell phone, and it's also RICARD, it's more than just appreciation of the information, but it's also for accountability purposes for us. Overcrowding at the post offices remains a challenge for us. This payment method, which was meant to be temporary method, has now become the de facto payment channel. 70%, which is around 4.2 million beneficiaries, are paid through this channel, and has created serious pressures for the post office. But I do want to say that through myself and the Minister, Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams, we are trying to get the technical teams to continue working on this and finding, again, technology improving the situation. In order to manage this challenge, we have been working closely with SAPO to alleviate the challenge of long queues and congestion at post office branches. Among the measures explored and implemented at the moment include the deployment of volunteers to manage queue, social distance, and assist beneficiaries in the queue, supporting scheduling appointments for beneficiaries to present themselves, using alternative public facilities such as municipal halls for payments. SAPO has also introduced a system for staggering of payment dates based on the last 3 digits of an ID. And I know that this is an area that has been of major concern, the cause, of course, being the fact that even with the offices, we don't have a full complement of the workers, because now we have to keep the distance. The workers themselves have to protect themselves. And so the number of people who are working at service points reduced because of COVID-19, but we can see that the situation is changing a bit. So we hope that sooner or later we will be in full complement so that we can service our people. With regard to temporary disability grants, SASSA administers disability grants as one of the 7 grant types as legislated in the Social Assistance Act. I raise this issue of the 7 different types of grants because many a times we tend to focus on one, when actually the social grants, there are 7 different types of social grants. The total number of disability grants on the system as of March 2021 is 1.1 million. Of these, 86 are permanent disability grants, with only 14% being temporary. So in all facts, and because figures don't lie, the 86% are those that normally get their grants as they've been receiving them before. And the one that we usually have a problem with is that 14% Disability grants remains the grant which is the most vulnerable to fraud. In the last week, a total of 11 people were arrested in Limpopo for disability-related fraud, and it's very unfortunate that part of those people who are arrested are our own. We would have expected that our own would be the ones that are very sensitive to this and also help educate our people on the one hand, but they collude. And we wish to thank SASSA actually, together with the law enforcement agencies for putting an effort on this, because we really need to do our best to stamp it out. I'd like to remind everyone that a temporary disability grant is given for a specific period which is medically informed. Therefore, there is genuine of 118,581 clients have been booked for assessment, while 79,000 have already completed their assessment process. From these, 61,955 applications have already been completed. Clients whose applications were declined can lodge an appeal against this decision, and they can contact SASSA offices for their assistance. It is encouraging to see the number of disability grants in payment increasing month on month. In January, the number of disability grants for payment was just over 1 million, while this has increased to 1.1 million for March. This is an indication that the progress is being made in this area. And then with regards to the NDA volunteer program, to date, the NDA has spent over 21.2 million towards the funding of volunteer program, which has positively impacted targeted communities. We have paid stipends to about 2,000 people who otherwise were not working. So we created employment opportunities and training for our volunteers, and the majority of which are young people. And we think that this is significant, especially in the light of the recent unemployment rates, as per the quarterly labor force survey announced by the Statistician General earlier this week. I am hoping that in our planning, we will use this volunteer program as a program also of young people in particular, but it's not only just the young, because there are other elderly people who are in our communities who are still strong, who still have the capacity, who live within the community, and they understand the challenges of the communities. We are hoping that this volunteer program can be developed in connection also with other programs from other departments, because it is not just the volunteers that fall under the Department of Social Development and NDA. There are other volunteer programs across the country. So we would wish to see a coordinated effort. And we also would like to see the training of those volunteers so that they can exit into something where they can show for themselves what experience they got during this period. I recently undertook an oversight visit to SASSA Bellville and PAL offices in Cape Town, which demonstrated the impact of the NDA programs of volunteers, and witnessed the importance of the volunteers on that day. There was a sense of gratitude from SASSA staff, who on average attend to just over 500 people per day. The volunteers provided much needed relief to the staff by dealing with crowd control and ensuring adherence to COVID-19 protocols at the pay point. And I do want to close this matter of Bellville, and I think I have said to the CEO and the regional manager that we need to turn that office. That office must be one of those shining examples of what a SASSA office should look like. And I also want to indicate that unfortunately for us in the public, the story still continues that I asked the police to spray people, and I want to again put it on record because it's being repeated over and over again. And this is not exactly what happened. Yes, the police did spray on people. Yes, I did ask them to stop. And yes, I spoke to the Minister of Police, Minister Begicele, for us to get the report on that. And I suppose SASSA will have to deal with what happened. So the police will have to deal, the command line of the police will have to deal with that. Now, with regards to the budget vote, the budget which was presented by Minister Tito Mboweni, we have noted the adjustments made to social grants by Minister of Finance, while we would have preferred a pro-poor and developmental. The social services, which include health and education, continues to have the bulk of the budget allocation at around 60%. Is it 60 or 58%, somewhere there, of the total budget? And the social development budget, together with the Social Security Fund, is about 1/3 of that allocation. But of course, we do want to indicate that the struggle for the poor people continues in South Africa. And I think that as a Minister of Social Development, it is our responsibility to make sure that that agenda is an agenda that is appreciated across the board. And also, the more people are being assisted by an economy that is growing, the more we grow the economy, the more we create jobs, the less we have a problem as a Department of Social Development. We further noted the increased taxes on alcohol and cigarettes and how this will reduce excessive alcohol consumption, which is linked to violence on gender-based violence. We cannot ignore the rise of the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide. We remain concerned about this pandemic that continue to ravage our country. We therefore call upon civil society to work with other structures in the community to empower young and old boys and girls, men and women on social behavioral change. We believe that we can only beat this monster if we change this culture at all stages of our life. And of course, recently we heard of the horrendous story of KwaZulu-Natal, where a social worker is said to have killed 6 people in a family. And we also want to say social workers are part and parcel of our communities, so we do need to also give them support. And the fact that one social worker happens to have been in an incident like this does not necessarily mean that all social workers are like that, because I can see the trend of discussion now. And in fact, I was disturbed also by the fact that I had one social worker who was going to give counseling to the 9-year-old that was left, was also hijacked and the car taken away. So it's just a plea to our communities to say we need to protect our social workers. Too. And then, of course, the law will take its course on the one who has been found to have killed all these people. The Department of Social Development successfully implemented the CARA program in partnership with NDA with the sector, civil society, including NGOs and academia, as well as provincial departments on social development and other government departments, all these spheres of government, we want to thank you for your commitment and partnership in ensuring that we are able to work together in creating a better life for all our people, and together we can do more. Thank you. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you very much, Minister, for the briefing and the statement. Okay, it looks like there's nobody in-house to ask any questions. It means the statement was pretty clear. Let's go virtual and see if there's anybody virtual.
No.
It's very clear then, Honourable Minister. We would then, we'll just give another 5 seconds to check virtually if there's still anything coming in. It means you were very clear, Minister. You were articulate.
Way to go.
Thank you very much. So,
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining the Minister in this briefing. We want to thank our partners, both the NGOs and indeed our partners that we're working with who also joined us, particularly in the ECD space. We also want to thank our agencies and indeed, as the Minister indicated, our frontline staff, both the SASSA and NDA offices, including the DSD portfolio, and Minister, indeed, your colleagues in the provinces, the MECs, which you are very close to, with, including our colleagues at officials level. We want to thank you very much for your contribution in ensuring that we are able to provide the necessary services to the people of the Republic. And in that regard, I'd like to bring this media briefing to a close. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The CEO is still not believing. It's over.